Hello, friends. Welcome to our live stream. I am Rachel Archelaus. This is Carrie Roldan. And happy November 21st. How did we get here? It's the end of the year almost. Wild stuff is going down. And if you are here for the title of this live stream, truths are being revealed big time. And I came up with this title because I had no idea what to talk about today. I thought about not even coming to this live stream because I was like, I'm a blank. I don't know what our topic is. And then I realized in the past week in several domains, business, relationship, friendship, all kinds of things, my truth is just bubbling and bursting out of me. And it wasn't premeditated. I'm just feeling like, probably because I've been using the app, which if you'd like to sign up for free, go to the email that you got for this live stream. I've been meditating more frequently, aligning, grounding more frequently, doing more intuitive art. And when I do that, my higher self is more in control. And so my higher self has just been speaking all this truth out of me. And it's a blessing. It is such a blessing because, it might be hard in the moment in some instances to make a change or to tell someone something you don't want to tell them. But why are we living if we're not going to live our truth? Why are we here if we're going to let the status quo or cultural norms or what you should do determine how you live if that's not authentic for you? Right? Why are we even bothering if we're not going to live our truth? Especially if we're meditating, our truth is so easy to access, right? I know that a lot of times we can feel very distant from our truth. I do too sometimes, but when we meditate, when we ground, when we are in the habit of connecting with our higher self, our truth is so easy to find. So that's why we're here today. Let us know if you have any questions and say hello. Hi, Carrie just gave me the best therapy session. So I want to thank Carrie for that.
All right. Well, truth being revealed. So I kind of think that that's just what happens when I talk to people because that's inherent in me. I'm trying to find the truth in any situation and I'm digging around and I'm asking questions and I'm getting to be like, okay, so what's the truth here? And you and I were just talking, Rachel and I were having a personal conversation and we're not going to tell you all the details, but we were both recognizing things are happening, at least, for both of us, that are feeling a little bit uncomfortable because the truth is being revealed. The truth in me is being revealed. So what it has looked like for the two of us is something that I had rationalized being okay with, that I wasn't really okay with, right? But I kind of said, well, I want to be the kind of person who, or I don't want to infringe my desires, whatever it was, something that we weren't really okay with has shown itself. And we have to decide to respond to it differently or continue to live the way we have been. And so that is how the truth has been revealed to me, is I actually have known this for a really long time. There's been a welling up of something uncomfortable and then the justification that goes on to make that comfortable thing okay, or I don't want to infringe on someone else's sovereignty or whatever it is. And it has it's coming up and coming up and coming up to reveal to us that we actually get to have the life that we want. And at least for me, I will say that it looks scary. There's a big lie that I tell myself over and over and over again, which is but if I tell the truth, if I ask to live in my truth, my whole fucking world will crumble, right? The reality that as I know it will die. And there's some truth to that. Yeah. My world as I can have constructed it it has to evolve. It has to evolve. And I think there's a scary thing that happens, I think a very human thing that happens in all of us, which is like, if I express my truth, I will lose something. If I express my truth, this comfortable thing will become uncomfortable. And yes, yeah, it's gonna. The thing is, Rachel probably has better brain science words for this. That comfortable thing is already uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it's already uncomfortable. And so I think it is this, at least the way that we were talking about it beforehand. The way I'm thinking about truth being revealed right now, it goes back to like my true preferences, my true desires, living in the fullest expression of me and the truth of like what I know I am worthy and deserving of. And then my little baby human mind goes to work to be like, well, that can't happen. It's either this or that. It's like it creates a whole story instead of just remembering that actually, when I live in alignment with my truth, when I am fully expressed, when I actually give voice to my truth, the universe, oh, I just froze. There I am. The universe rises up to meet me, right? And the thing that I was most afraid of, it may or may not happen. Most times it doesn't, or it happens for an instant and then something better happens. But the whole point is like, we're meant to evolve. We are meant to be fully expressed. And if we're feeling like these truths being uncovered, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. But if we live them, if we express them, if we ask to live more fully in our truth and then start behaving like someone who's living more fully in their truth, our life adjusts in a way that feels better. At least for me, I always think it's going to feel worse.
I think, yeah, I mean, humans are great at catastrophizing, right? So it makes sense. But I think it's also like if we're uncomfortable about something inside of us, if there's an incongruity with what we want and what we're tolerating, which yes, everyone does that to a degree. But if you have a lot of momentum going on something, then you are only going to project from the place of fear, right? Because there's a fear keeping it inside of you. There's a fear keeping it bottled up. And so you're only going to be able to see what the fear would look like on the outside. But when you do the uncomfortable thing of letting it go, making it known, bringing it into the light, then that can release from you and the good stuff can finally come in, right? It's like putting down the sandbag and feeling lighter. Like, oh, hey, actually, this is really great, right? And so I wouldn't get too worked up about how you feel about it in the moment. If you know there's an incongruity, if you know there is a truth that's waiting to be revealed, reveal it and you're going to feel better. So take our lead. And honestly, like none of what I did was premeditated. And so, feel yourself, right? Get into the state that allows the discomfort to feel so uncomfortable that there's only one option but to get it out. And even the revealing it part, it doesn't have to be devastating. It doesn't have to be terrible. Like in my case, maybe one of those instances was a little bit tear filled, but tears aren't bad. Like we're human beings, we feel things. And so give yourself a chance to live the life you want. And if you're wondering, why is nothing changing for me? Why is my life the same as it was last year? Maybe it's because you're not really letting yourself fully embrace your truth. And that could be because you are fearing more than you need to, because you're not meditating and aligning enough to your own truth and your own higher self. So do the basics. A client asked me this week, okay, so how do you manifest? And that's all we talk about, right? But it's difficult to put our brains together with it. It's totally difficult. We just need to feel resonant to what we want. So if I want $1 million, which of course, who doesn't? Okay, how does it feel to have $1 million? How does it feel if I can imagine $1 million in my bank account right now, which feels pretty good? How does it actually affect my body? How does it affect my mood? How does it affect my world? Like, would I immediately go buy something, or do I actually just feel really calm and centered and secure? Like, do I just feel like I want to sit here in this security? I just want to bask in that. Like, that's really what I'm feeling. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy my favorite skincare, of course. Like, there's stuff that I would want, but really I love the feeling of having that security. It feels really good. So, you've got to spend time with yourself in order to really get there. And if you do that, like lately, I haven't been aligning to $1 million, but I've been aligning to being the biggest loving version of myself that I could. Yes, Guillaume, relief is telling you that you're going in the right direction, right? You're releasing those sandbags. I was very upset after the election, and I was getting back to myself and realizing, like, what I really want is to be love. I just want to be my most true self, which is like, if you have ever seen those little popper toys, it was like half of a cylinder and like you can push it inside out. I felt like, because of the election, I was my dull self. Like, I was just not shiny, just dull. And like, I wanted to flip myself inside out and just be this radiant ball of love. And so I meditated with that, and I did that. And I feel like, that brought me to a place where I had to live my truth. You can't live in love and not live your truth. Those are incompatible. So be with yourself, decide what you want, give yourself what you want in meditation, sit with things, feel them. And that's really going to go a long way to allowing this to be an easier process.
I have two things.
Mm-hmm.
So one, this is for you, Guillaume, because I used to, when I would feel into winning the lottery or receiving $1 million or whatever it was, I used to allow myself to feel relief. That was always the first thing that I felt, but not let that feeling grow. And so like, it felt like such a relief because it wasn't where I was, right? But then I wouldn't go past relief. And so what I want to encourage you to do, Guillaume, is to let yourself go past relief. Like, okay, experience the relief. It's here and it's not going anywhere. And all of the things that represents, like, I'm imagining if you receive $1 million, you're able to pay off things or do whatever. Like, your immediate needs are met and you don't have to think about them for the foreseeable future. So then feel into what that feels like to have all your needs met and to not have to worry about them in the foreseeable future. And what feelings are in your body after relief? Because those are the ones that you really create from. Like, relief is the signal that you're headed in the right direction, that like, okay, but it's what comes after relief. And I used to not let myself go very far past relief. And I do think that had to do with my own feeling of like worthy and deserving. So that's a whole other thing. I can't remember the other thing I was going to say before, but something else just came up, which was on that note. The more I've been meditating, I too have been using the app daily, and the tracker is what, like, I don't know, it's such like a simple thing, but just filling out that tracker every day and like being accountable to myself, to filling out that tracker has really been helpful. But what has been coming up in meditation for me are some physical practices, some things to do with my body. I've been doing a lot of EFT. I just did a thing today that was like some like shaking and like just moving emotions through my body. And all of that work, I remember the other thing, all of that work is about recognizing that if I want my life to be different than it is, I need to be different in my life.
Yes.
And so Rachel and I talked a long time. I don't remember. I was reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Mm.
And like, there's this weird thing of like, but I just want to be fully myself, right? Why would I break the habit of being me? But it's recognizing like, oh no, it's actually about breaking the habit of your personality that is a limited version of you, right? It's breaking those habits. So that was the second thing. It's like, how do I show up differently in my life? And using the app and meditating and then receiving what comes through. For me, it's been a lot of physical practices lately. That is breaking the pattern. That's breaking the habit of showing up in my life the way I have been and letting my higher self lead me to whatever the path of least resistance is, to the version of the truth of me, fully expressed me.
Which feels so much better, right? Like, I know we talked about, like, Zach brought up the magic of discomfort. Yeah, it's a great feedback, right? It's great feedback to know, like, I'm carrying around something that's not me. I'm carrying around something that doesn't feel good. And remember, Intimate Alien says your truth always feels good, right? So how do we align with our truth and always feel good? We take note of when we're discomforting, right? Like, what do we do with that information? Do we just shove it down even more, or do we address it? And like I said, we aren't necessarily like, maybe you will put a time on your calendar to, address with yourself or whoever you need to tell something to. And that is how it's going to work best for you. But for me, just aligning to more of me has brought situations to me to express it. I don't want to underestimate that enough. Like, being animated by your higher self. That is the easiest way to do it, because then you don't have to schedule anything. You don't have to have anxiety leading up to anything, right? It's just in the moment, it happens. And that's how I like to live.
I have had some things happen for me where like I will get in a meditation of like, oh, I need to speak my truth to this person, or I need to, and then I will think, okay, maybe I'll write them a letter, or I'll send them an email, or I'll like, well, let me just get it all out of me. Like I will like try and like create a plan. And then my life will just like bring that person, like they'll call me and be like, hey, we need to talk about this. Or like, what it's like, it happens quickly. We are supported in becoming who we want to be.
Yeah, and writing things down is also incredible, right? Because sometimes, everyone processes differently. If you just keep it in your head, it seem way bigger than it really needs to be, or you might not be able to really organize yourself. Writing something down, even just for you, is a good way to organize your thoughts and to feel more secure in who you are and what you want to say. And sometimes that's enough. Like Carrie's saying, you just do that, you organize yourself, and then all of a sudden there's an opportunity to have something be resolved.
It's also why having a coach is incredibly important, is because sometimes you don't have clarity about your discomfort.
Yeah.
You need someone to ask the right questions, or you need to verbally process. And that means making the time to have the appointment to do that verbal processing. And sometimes you need someone like me and Rachel to hold that energetic space for you and to see the truth in you, even if you're not seeing it in yourself. So whatever that looks like, know that that is an important part of everybody's evolution, is having somebody to reflect you back to you and to ask you the right questions to grow you in the direction that you want to grow.
Yeah. Carrie is currently accepting clients for her. You guys, if you don't know how Carrie works, it's really, really cool. She works asynchronously, right? She calls it pocket consulting, but it's coaching continuously. So whereas with me, you meet with me twice a month for an hour on a call, which works for me and my clients. Carrie does it where you send each other voice notes or video notes, and you can have a breakthrough anytime, right? There's no scheduling. She's accepting clients right now. So if you want to see about coaching with her, email her or just reply to the email I sent you and I'll hook you up with her email. You can talk about it. I am sending out information on my coaching for next year, which I'm calling Transcendence, because that is really what we need right now, on Saturday. So if you're interested in looking into coaching with me, check out my email on Saturday. And we also work very complementary together. So if you want two of us, reach out.
Yay. Yeah, because that's what Rachel and I are. It's so we're both incredible and we like to show up in really different ways. And so, and what we know, right, is that you'll know the right thing for you. So whether that is working with me, working with Rachel, working with both of us, the right thing will happen. Or joining our group. All of them are amazing.
Yeah. So I can say, from a life of being a compulsive truth liver, all right, like I dropped out of high school. I just decided one day I just can't go back, and I never did. I got married really young. I was like the first one in my immediate family to go to college. And it's funny, I love my mom so much. She's probably watching. But I remember taking her to my school. We were walking up back into the parking garage. I think we just registered or something. Like, she just came with me, maybe to get my books. I don't know. But she's like, weren't you nervous to enroll by yourself? You know, Elaine, like, we live an unconventional life, my family and I. So I've always kind of done things on my own, done things out of order, and, you know, become an alien, tell my whole family, you know, stuff like that, travel around for a year in a camper van. And I'm always afraid. I'm always afraid before I reveal my next big thing, or, you know, I think I'm way too much for anyone on this planet to ever even get close to because I'm so bizarre. But it's never true, right? Like, anytime I'm really telling my truth, like, the truth disarms. Like, what is anyone really going to say to your truth if you're being really loving about it in the moment? You're just showing, this is just who I am, right? It's always gone well, right? Now, of course, I'm divorced, right? I did drop out of high school. Like, it's never necessarily going to look perfect throughout the whole, you know, entirety of your life. But when you make decisions to tell your truth and to live your truth, that always goes well. It always works out. And again, like how we open this, why are we here if we're not going to live our truth? Like, what's the point? Because we have the capacity to do it. We have the ability to do it. We have the feedback system to do it. You have the support to do it. You have us, right? If you want more, come into our group, come into our app, come into our coaching. We're here for you. And this is the kind of thing that we are like fully in support of, right? You living your truth, no matter what it looks like, right? If it feels good to you, if it really bolsters you, if it's a reflection of you, then it's going to be the right decision.
And I just feel compelled to say, you're enough. So whatever you're worried about, if I live my truth, then like, nope, you're enough. You, who you be, who you is, I don't know, like, you're enough. Some of us, it's funny, Rachel, you talking about you've been like unconventional. And I was listening, like, I'm like so super conventional. Like, I've been like the opposite. Like, Rachel dropped out at 16. I was like superstar achiever, A+ athlete, went to college, did the athletic scholarship, got the 4.0. Like, I was like the opposite of that. Like, and in all of it, my truth was that I was smart. I was a good athlete. I had lots of identities, you know, but And I was living my truth in that I was living my preferences. And everybody around me was sort of like, well, you're different. Well, you're like, maybe it was this, it was like peer pressure didn't really work on me. And that was like not conceivable to the people around me. They were like, well, you don't know what it's like. You don't understand because you're perfect. When in reality, I was like deeply insecure and like didn't know who I was, like just was doing all the right things, was being like the perfect student, doing what was expected of me, and living by all the rules. Like, you guys, I live by the rules, right? That it has taken me longer. It has taken me a lot longer to really come into alignment with the truth and to not just like bow to other people's expectations of me, because I can live up to them. I can totally live up to other people's expectations of me, but I'd rather live up to what I really want in my life.
Yeah. Same. You know, like this whole school journey for me, you know, has been part of this. Like, it's so funny, but going back to college as an older student, you face a lot of like, why would you do that? Why are you spending money on that? What is the point of that? Especially when you're already established in your own career. And I just went to another meeting at my prospective PhD school last night, and I was talking to my partner about it, and he doesn't get it either. Like, school is the last thing he would ever want to do, which is fine. But for me, it's just so exciting and so compelling. And finally, I thought he was like really judgmental of it. You know, we were talking about how much it would cost and everything. And at the end of that, he was like, well, I won't share my opinion. I was like, all right, whatever. You know, he's probably just thinking I'm insane. And then I asked him about it, and I'm like, well, that implies a judgment, you know? And he's like, no, actually, I think you're making the right choice. And I was like, oh, we're fine.
Then why wouldn't you share?
I know. So, you know, we can also be the ones projecting onto other people the disappointment, the disapproval. So what Carrie is saying about you are enough, you really need to take that to heart, because we are. And we're probably the ones making, you know, the sad faces on other people mean something when they're just thinking about their own lives, you know? So stick to your own paper and just live your life to the best of your ability to make yourself happy.
And Rachel, I know we're just about at time, but I was just in conversation with a couple of friends about this. And we were saying, like, gosh, I don't know if it's been like the astrology recently. Apparently it's the age of Aquarius now. I don't know what that means exactly, but some big shift has happened and we're ending a 200-year period or something. Anyhow, but like there has been in the world that I live in some big stirrups, not like stirrups that you put your feet in, but like the world has sort of stirred up relationships. And the women I were talking to, we were talking specifically about marriages. And one of the women in the group was like, her marriage is pretty new. And she was having some insecurity about, you know, like facing something and having failed marriages in her past. And the other of us in the group had been married for 20 years plus. And she was saying, the one who'd been married 20 years plus, like there's so many people in her world that have been married 20 years plus that suddenly like their marriages are ending. And we were just talking about like this stirring up of relationships right now. And my feeling about it was exactly what you just said, Rachel. Like, isn't that so interesting? Because we're all like faced with our truth right now and faced with what we've been tolerating. And it's like our response to that. Like, some of us are going to be in relationship and lean into it and evolve together. And some of us are gonna like blame the other person or be afraid or do whatever. And I'm not saying there's a wrong choice. It's just I'm sort of judging. I'm saying it out loud, like like I just think it's worth like leaning in. But regardless, it's just like really fascinating that that's happening right now. It's like we're all there's a shakeup going on, and we're all being called like to live our truth and be who we're meant to be in this world. So if you've had a relationship shakeup, you're enough, and lean into what you want.
Yeah. And for the fear part of it, like I've been coaching people a really long time, and so is Carrie. And what Abraham says about it is true. It's like you can want totally different things. You can be totally different people. You can think you're here and here and here and here. And really, you can get what you want out of each other. You really can, if that is what you want, right? A lot of people think if any conflict comes up, well, then we're going to break up. But usually it brings you closer together. So if that is what you want, let that be an option. And also let this bring you together. That's really what the most important thing is now, because we create our reality. What we are feeling and thinking is going to be evident outside of us. So if we're not okay, our relationships are going to be not okay too. So, well, this turned into a relationship show, but it's with you and your higher self, right? Because your higher self only lives your truth. The more you invite your higher self in, the more truth will be in your life. I just released a new meditation yesterday, the Diamond Meditation in the app.
That's one of my favorites.
It's really good, you guys. So if you want to go listen to it for free and hang out with us, go download the app. You can even use it from your desktop. You don't even have to do it on your phone. So maybe we'll see you in there. Thanks to everyone who's already in there. We love you. Say hi. Feel free to use the community. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Rachel, is next week Thanksgiving?
Oh, maybe it is.
I think we won't see them on Thanksgiving.
My calendar is in January, so next week is Thanksgiving. So we're not going to see you next week. We'll see you December 5th. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Well, have a great holiday if you're in the US, and go in the app and hang out with us. All right.
See you guys.
Bye.